Yay Networks.
Hello, everybody. What's going on? Man, welcome back to the Real Talk Kim podcast. Y'all, I have got some of the greatest teachings this month. Y'all know for the last couple of months, I've had guests, which I'm loving. I would love to even know how you're feeling about the new things that we've been doing with this podcast. We're growing it. It's doing so good. But what would you like for the beginning of the year? I would love to hear what you would like to hear from this podcast. Send me an email to rtkquestions@gmail.com, rtkquestions@gmail.com, and tell me what would you like from me? What would you like for the Real Talk Kim podcast to hit on in the new year? Are you loving me having guests? Do you prefer this kind of scene right here with just me teaching you and getting in your face, helping you get unstuck? I would love to hear from you because you are the reason why this podcast is doing so good. So rtkquestions@gmail.com. Listen, while we're here, before we get started, I got the best teaching today on falling in love with yourself, allowing yourself to fall in love with someone, allowing yourself to rekindle the love in your marriage. I don't know what you're looking at, but I guarantee you this teaching today is going to help you grow, all right? So we're going to talk about love, falling in love, all things love. But before we do, I need you to go to wherever you're watching this from, whether it's on the Real Talk Kim YouTube channel, subscribe, push the subscribe button. If you're on Spotify, push the Spotify button. If you're watching on my app, just subscribe wherever you are. It is very important so that you know every single time that I'm about to release something, you get a notification. Y'all know we popping up in my world. We are growing leaps and bounds. Also, share. Sharing is caring. You may have your whole life together. You might be in a season where you are killing it, but there's somebody that looks like they killing it in your world that ain't killing it and literally feel like they are clawing to get out of devastation that they're in right now. They would never tell you because truth be told, we all like to look like we've got it together. But you know what? Sometimes we don't, and we need somebody to pull us out of the pits, and you don't know who you'll help by sharing this. Another thing, would you give me a review? Wherever you're watching from, give me a review. Go to my app, my podcast channel, give me a review. Go to my Real Talk Kim Go app and give me a review. On YouTube, give me a review. Wherever you're at, give me a review and tell people what you're getting out of this podcast because this is how the message is getting out. By you sharing it, giving reviews, and loving me. So do that for me if you would. And also, go get my brand new book. You gotta get up. You gotta get up. You gotta say it. Every time you think of this book, I want you to hear my voice. You gotta get up. Get up. You may not know where you're going, but you ain't staying where you are. Remember, even if you feel like a turtle stuck in peanut butter, get up. So go get my book. This book is anywhere books are sold or Amazon. Just go put in the search Amazon, Real Talk Kim. You gotta get up. I also have the whole audio version where I'm reading to you the whole book. So go get this book. Get it for all your friends and family for Christmas. I promise you, it'll be one of the best gifts you give. All right? So listen, we're about to chop it up. I am so excited to get into this word with you. Go get your journals. Get your RTK journals. Some of y'all listen. In fact, after my last teaching, one of my producers said, go start an RTK journal. Go get it. So I'm going to get my team to get us some RTK legit journals because y'all, I cannot tell you how important it is to write your feelings. That's how I wrote my first book. Beautifully Broken was my journal. There was days I didn't have anything to say because I felt so defeated, but it got to get out of you. What you're feeling has to get out or it marinates and infects every area of your life. So today, get your journal, get you some popcorn. Y'all gonna want to write down these tips because you could have, I give you so much information, okay? I don't just tell you, do you feel this way? Are you broken? Do you want to stay there? No, I give you tips to get out. All right? So get your journal. We're going to send this off to a break. And I also want to invite you to get in my RTK Inner Circle. Go to realtalkkim.com. Join my RTK Inner Circle. We're starting a new year, y'all, in just a little bit. And you're going to want somebody pushing you. Get your big, thick thigh up and move. I'm her. So get in my RTK Inner Circle today. Also, listen, know I love you. And I will see you in just a second. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Today, we're talking about love. This is one of my favorite topics because, man, I did not know how to do love very well. And it took me a minute to figure it out. And I realized that at the depths of love comes loving yourself. You hear me? If you don't love yourself, nobody else can love you. And man, there was so many years of my life that I did not love myself, and I didn't even know it. You know, I was thinking about on one of our prayer calls. Y'all know I do a prayer call every morning, Monday through Friday, if I'm in town at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on all my social pages. And I was talking about, in one of the prayer calls, I was talking about how the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. And how he does it is he sends counterfeits in someone in your life that is giving you everything that you desire. The enemy does not come in a pitchfork. The enemy does not come in a pitchfork and a red cape. The enemy comes through people that give you everything that you desire. And they sneak in that door, and before they know it, they've lassoed you in and they pull you back. Y'all, listen to me. You can look at Samson. You fall for the wrong person and it can delay your destiny. But the beautiful thing about God is he never allows what you're walking through to stop you, but pivot you. And so I was talking about how the enemy has come in my life and other people's lives, and all of a sudden he brings someone in to love you, fall in love with them, and then all of a sudden they start realizing you too good for them. And that very thing they fell in love with, now they try to break you down in that area, saying things like, I remember in my own relationships, I don't know why, but these people love my personality. I had never had a problem getting a person. It was keeping them. And I look back and I reflected, because, last week on our podcast, we were talking about reflection, baby. You got to reflect so you don't keep repeating the cycles. And I started looking back, and every man that would come in my life would beat me down, would tear me apart in that very area that was my gift. They would tear me down. I remember say things like, oh, that was the stupidest sermon I ever heard you preach. Or if people really knew who you were, stuff like that, man. And it would beat me up and it would beat me down, because we can say things all we want, like, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That is a lie from the pit of hell. What you hear, you manifest. If you don't kick it out, I got this 3-second rule. And this 3-second rule I implemented a couple of years ago in my life. And every single time someone said something to me that hurt my heart and made me feel like, man, I wonder if I'm really like that, right? I would reflect on it. And 3 seconds, if it punched me in the belly, because I believe that God does send some truth tellers in your life, but when they deliver the truth to you, it doesn't feel like an attack. It feels like help is coming, right? But the attacks that I would feel, like to my ego, to my confidence, to my heart, I would immediately be like, man, that hurt. Do I really do that? Do you really feel that way about me? I had 3 seconds. And I would either take it in and let it eat me alive, or I would reject it, kick it out, and be like, you know what, God, you didn't make no junk. You made me like I am. Every time I would hear somebody say, you're too much, I started saying, I may be too much for you, but I'm not too much for my call. God created me this way. And so you got 3 seconds. I want you to implement that. You got 3 seconds. And when someone says something to you, maybe your partner, it could be even your spouse. Y'all could have been so ugly to each other that now you've lost respect for each other. You don't honor each other anymore. You don't kiss on each other. You ain't having sex no more. You allowed all the junk y'all walking through to separate you. And now you've been sleeping back to back. This season is the season you rekindle. You realize that the enemy hates your marriage. The enemy hates for people to get together and become the best them for each other, bringing 100 and 100 to the table, because one will put 1,000 to flight, two will put 10,000. So in this podcast, first thing I want you to write down is, listen, past trauma. What has happened in your life that has made you scared to love? Because really, I wrote this down right here. How to overcome your fear of love. Falling in love is exciting, it's thrilling. You go through that first few months of honeymoon stage, right? And all of a sudden, you start getting scared. Oh, I'm falling in love. What if I can't trust this person? The enemy will start bringing up like triggers, right? To make you start breaking down the relationship and questioning the relationship. If you ain't healed, the Bible says that it's the little foxes that spoil the vine. So what ends up happening is you get scared to love, you get scared to fall in love, you get scared to commit, right? Like I literally was so afraid, because I was afraid my kids would repeat the cycles of my life, right? Of falling in love with the wrong people. I never consulted God. When I look back, all my demise relationships, there wasn't one time that I seek God. I didn't one time pump the brakes and say, God, is this what you would have for me? Not one time. Not one time. God would show me red flags. I'd be like, oh, it's a carnival. Then I start praying for God to change the red flags. What? So every single time I got into a relationship that failed, and y'all know my story, I tell everything so y'all don't ever get hit between the eyes with something. I tell it first so nobody else can tell my story. Because if we would get to a place where we stop denying why we got here, and we start realizing, you know how I started healing? Y'all know how I started healing. I started looking at myself and I was like, girl, you don't have a problem falling in love. Okay, I'm cute. I don't have a problem getting a man, okay? But it was keeping them in. Because there was something inside of me that believed I'm too much, or I need a man that can handle me. And then all of a sudden I'm like, girl, bye. If you need a man that can handle you, it means you don't bring no peace. You can't keep him. So girl, you might be feeling good about yourself, but you alone. And I had to start learning me, finding the good qualities of me, instead of walking around saying, this is me, take it or leave it. They were all leaving it. I had to start looking at myself and saying, so why can I give the best input on relationships to the world, but I can't take it myself, right? And so the reason we're afraid is because we're afraid of opening up to relationships, right? We're afraid of, what if I fall in love with the wrong person and then I repeat the cycles of my mom and dad? So how do we overcome the fear of love? How do we overcome? You got to bust your pride down. You can't be walking up in here with pride. You can't be walking up in here being like, I used to think I was the whole gift. You hear me? Until I realized that coming up on 50, I got businesses. I write books. I got companies. I'm an empire in my own right. Entrepreneurship. I can handle every room I'm ever sent into. But the one thing I desired the most was love, and I didn't have it. And I had to start reflecting. Remember last podcast? Last week, which you need to go back and listen to, talking about reflecting. You have to be honest with yourself. This is what I wrote down. Be honest with yourself about why you are afraid. First, see if you can identify the root of your fears. Ask yourself, why are you afraid of falling in love? Be honest with your answers. This is about making your life better. So avoiding the tough parts can only hurt yourself. Thankfully, there's no one here to be vulnerable with but you. You ain't got to be breaking down your ex. You ain't got to be stalking your ex no more. You ain't got to be looking at that rejection as, man, it was my 5-finger forehead, my thick thighs. No. You fall in love with you and become the greatest you that you can be, so that you know that God's going to bring you somebody in your life that's going to love your lights out, or that spouse you've been married to for 30 years and now y'all ain't got no love. Why did I fall in love with them in the first place? What can I do in my life? They don't give me love, so what can I do to cultivate it? Because they're not going to do it. Instead of being bitter about it, you become what you desire. You give what you desire. And before you know it, y'all, love is in the Bible so many times. You know why? Because love covers a multitude. You can love someone to become the best person that they can be by changing you. The greatest thing I ever gave myself was saying I'm sorry first. The greatest gift I ever gave myself was allowing myself to realize that when I'm pointing fingers at you, there's 3 more pointing back at me. Realizing that I can't change nobody. The only time I can ever change a person is their diapers when they're a baby. When they get grown, there's something inside of me that can shift an atmosphere. I can shift a room. I can walk what I talk. I can love me, and I can be love. So you gotta get to the bottom of you. Avoiding the tough parts of you is only hurting yourself. And so, for instance, if you've been hurt in the past and the thought of loving someone again feels scary, do you tend to keep others at a distance? Are you worried about sharing your full self with another person? So y'all know that I'm in love, right? I'm in love. God brought this great man into my life 7 months ago. We kept it very quiet, still keep it very quiet, because I'm protecting him from y'all, okay? Because this thing's different. But for me to get to this place, I'll never forget, it was the first month we were dating. And I kind of got on a cycle of the way I was in other relationships, scared of allowing myself to really fall and be vulnerable. And I remember one night we were talking, we were on a date, and he said, Kim, I need you to make sure you tell me everything. He said, because you're in the public eye. He said, and I don't want to be caught off guard. Like, I'm talking even elementary school. Like, if there's something that Shade Room gonna get, because y'all know Shade Room, y'all know all the gossip. Yeah, I'm in that world where people watch. And he said, I never want to be shocked. And I remember that night, it was like all the blood left my body because I had to be vulnerable about the areas in my life that other people used against me after we fell in love and they got mad at me. And that was the greatest gift I ever got from him, was he allowed me to become vulnerable. He allowed me to be Kim. He allowed me, like he tells me all the time, you are my assignment. Like, I've never been protected the way I'm protected with him. He's not in ministry, which has been the greatest gift for my life. What you see is what you get with him. But what I've discovered in this last 7 months was it is an honor to be loved like Christ loves the church. It is an honor to allow someone into the depths of my being and not have to change me, but be all that I can be. And you know what I've learned in this season, 7 months, is every day we're working through something. Communication kills assumption. The old Kim would never be here today because I was just like, I'm just too much. Ain't nobody can love me in my whole entire world. In fact, I had to go back and break contracts that I'd said with my mouth. Contracts, man, I'm just going to stay single forever. I don't need people's money. I got it going on. I get to travel wherever I want to go. I ain't got to answer to nobody because I believe in submission. So when a man comes in my life, if he says, Kim, I don't feel good about this, even if I feel good about it, I still got to say, well, you know what? Okay, I'll put the brakes on it and we'll work through it. We'll figure this thing out. I didn't want to do none of that until God began to heal me. So the reason we are afraid is because there's no guarantee that we'll be with this person forever. One person doesn't have to be your end all, right? Some of y'all still stuck on that man or that woman that walked out of your life. And you know what? You're bleeding on people now that didn't cut you. Some of y'all are this close to losing a gift that God has brought in your life because you are so afraid of letting your walls down. You are so afraid of putting your heart in the hands of somebody else. So now you put that person in the friend zone. That person, listen, that person ain't on your little chart. Some of y'all need to tear up your list, because you wrote that list in a season of your life where you weren't completely healed. And now you are living by that list. And that list is not conducive to what God's going to do in your life with that new person that he's going to bring. And so you got to tear up the list. You got to open yourself up and just say, yo, I lay hands on myself every day. I'm the queen of laying hands on myself. You hear me? I will lay hands on myself. Because I remember when I got back out there and started dating. I started dating after I turned 50. I was like, let me put myself back out there. I dated some great people, but they weren't for me. And I remember thinking, man, if this is what I get to choose from. Now, they were great people. Don't get me wrong. They were great guys. There are a lot of great guys still left in this world. So stop acting like they ain't no good guys, because there's a lot of great guys. But none of them were connecting with me like I needed. I knew what I needed. I needed an alpha. I needed somebody in my life that wasn't afraid of me, right? That could just make me soft. That's why I'm in my soft girl era now, y'all. I'm loving it because I am healed. This is what healing looks like. This is what healing looks like. Somebody that brings the best out in you. And so you got to work through the feelings of sadness. You got to work through the feelings of disappointments. You got to stop. If all you doing is thinking about, I need a man, I need a man, I need a woman, you ain't ready. You got to go out there and get your purpose. You got to start living. What are you bringing to the table? Who are you? Are you going to be somebody's piece? Are you going to make them fall into pieces? Could it be that the reason God hadn't brought somebody in your life is because you would bring them war and not peace? Because you're so afraid. You'd walk around on eggshells expecting and demanding unfair love, and you putting all this expectation in. You ain't even bringing that to the table. You gotta allow yourself, you gotta take all the nagging self-doubt feelings aside. Stop saying you too old. Stop saying ain't nobody gonna ever love you. Maybe you lost a spouse. Now you're like, man, the best thing that ever had's died. And ain't nobody gonna love me like that again. Yes, they are. God never ends in a deficit. What you desire, you will get, and better if you get yourself in a position to receive it. And remember this, understand that it takes time. Write that down. Understand that it takes time. Getting over your fears of being in love won't happen overnight. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Most importantly, you don't have to dive straight in once you feel the sparks for someone new. Take it slow and easy. It's probably a great idea to go slow and easy. That's what I've had to do. It took 7 months for us to get to a place where I even shared a video with him in it, because I was doing things differently, right? I also realized that you're self-sufficient. Write that down. You are self-sufficient. You might feel like you don't need a partner's advice. You don't necessarily have to take it, but opening up can strengthen your relationship. You got to be willing. You know, when I hear women say, no man ain't going to ever tell me what to do, or I ain't going to submit. That's why you're single, right? Because when you get the right person in your life, which God's going to bring, they will love you so good that you will desire to listen to them. Serving them. Y'all, the way my honey treats me, it is an honor to serve him. When you let down your guards of the expectations of what you feel, God will surprise you. All right? Listen, here's another one I want you to write down. Know that it's okay to be vulnerable. Know that it's okay to be vulnerable. It can be very difficult, right? To be vulnerable, to open and honest with another person while you're getting over the lingering fear of being loved. Take steps to confide in this person and be vulnerable. Emotional intimacy is essential to being close with those you care about. You gotta do your part. Falling in love with Jesus will change everything. When you fall in love with Jesus, he helps you fall in love with yourself. And then you realize just the gift that you are. You're a gift that keeps on giving. So what I want you to do, I'm about to send this off to break, and I'm gonna give you a chance to breathe. Because some of you are on the cusp of the greatest relationship happening in your life. You watch. You know, we stand on the Amos 9:13 scripture. It's been my favorite scripture for 4 years now. And I quote it every day. It says, it won't be long. It's in the Message version. It says, it won't be long now. God's decree said things are about to happen so fast. My head is about to spin. Blessing upon blessing. I won't be able to keep up. You may be rekindling a marriage that is loveless right now. Y'all are resentful. You may be just starting over after your marriage didn't work. But baby, you may be single and you're like, I'm ready now, right? Or you may be saying, I ain't ready. I don't want no relationship. That just means you're not healed. Because the truth be told, inside of all of us, we got this idea of we want a person. You get to have a spend the night party every night. What? With your best friend. And so while we kick this off to break, in your journal, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. Why am I where I am? God, show me me. And the only person that I can fix is myself. And God put inside of me everything that I need to shift the atmosphere in my life. And then do this. God, I give you permission to heal the parts of me that I feels unlovable. Heal the parts of me that the enemy has lied to me about myself. And show me, God, the good parts of me that's going to change someone else's life. In Jesus' name. All right? Go do what I said. I'll see you in just a second to give you my final thoughts on falling in love again. I love you. Talk to you in a minute. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Man, ain't nothing as awesome as talking about love. Love makes the world go around, right? Just knowing that you are loved, celebrated, valued. And guess what? I love you. I celebrate you. I value you. And you matter. And your best is just beginning. You know, we are in November, right? This is a month where we are, allowing ourselves to reflect, deciding what we want to take into 2024. Who do we want to take? Who do we want to drop off? The last day of 2023. Some of y'all really making some decisions right now, and I'm really proud of you. Some of y'all been holding on to anger, bitterness. It's changed you. Angry. Ain't nothing like loving somebody and then all of a sudden experiencing a side of them that you were not expecting. And all of a sudden you're like, dude, I had babies with you. And now you turn into the devil. That's what the enemy does. He will literally send people that you literally dropped your whole life for to turn on you because he knows there's somebody in God's going to bring in your life that's going to shift everything for you. It's going to be your praise partner, going to be your destiny partner, going to be that person that pushes you to breakthroughs and not breakdowns. Some of you got it right now, but you've allowed open wounds of your past, trauma from your past to literally cause you to put a fence in a good situation. So today, I want to offer you hope. You know, as I was sitting here thinking about during the break, I was thinking about one of the things that I would tell you, this is for the dating people. Make sure you pick a worthy partner. One understandable reason we're afraid of love is that we associate it exclusively with our past experiences, right? your next partner isn't your ex. So don't expect them to treat you the same way. Take a closer look at people you like, but are hesitant to let in. How do you treat them? How do they treat you? Do you share the same values? Do you trust one another? Consider if you are both on the same page. Put any nagging feelings of self-doubt aside and look at the relationship as a whole. If you respect this person and think they might be a great fit for you, don't push them away just yet. You might just need more time to know you can trust them with your heart. So don't write them off in the beginning. You know, one thing that I really, in this season of my life, I had to look at was when I met my honey. We met at a restaurant, and he was nothing like anything I'd ever dated. Everybody always told me, you need somebody in ministry. You're going to need somebody in ministry. So I wouldn't even give an opportunity for somebody that wasn't in ministry. And every single person that I ever met in ministry, they turned out to give me headaches, man. They got competitive with me, and it just drained me. And then one day, Mimi and I were talking, my mom, and she was like, I've been thinking about this new guy. This was in the beginning of our relationship. And she said, why don't you give this a shot? Like, you don't want him all up in your church world. He loves God. He's a great man. He's solid with his kids. He's a man of integrity and character. But I was hesitant because he didn't look like what I had always went with. And Mimi said, this could be God. This could be someone that is your escape and not your duty. Why don't you give it a shot? And then she started showing me people that were successful women in ministry, that were married to men, that just loved them and not what they did. So maybe it's that coworker. Maybe it's that best friend that's been in the best friend zone that God's brought into your life. And you're going to be there. You are going to be their assignment, just to love you. So I pray this podcast made you think, made you fight for what God's brought into your life, make you protect what God's trusting you with. Maybe rekindle that relationship that's just gone stale. Maybe you'll go do a date in your house, put a blanket down, get some fruit and get you a charcuterie board. Is that how you say it? With cheese and sausage. I'm always messing up words, but y'all know what I'm talking about. And just get to know each other again. It's never too late. And God is love. And so you're loved no matter what. All right? I love you so much. I pray this whole podcast blessed you. I enjoyed putting it together for you. I'm praying for you. I got your back, your side, your front, your top, your bottom. It ain't never too late for you to shift your life. And it all starts right here and right here. What's in here and what's in here comes out of here. And what comes out of your mouth frames your life. Who do you need to forgive? Who do you need to stop talking about that ain't no longer a part of your life? When they walked out of your life, it was like the trash took itself out. And God knew you were loyal and you would never let them go. So he said, let themselves go. Because that's the kind of God he is. You are too good, too amazing, too wonderful, and too much of a gift to waste your life in places that don't value you. You are not a paper plate. You are fine china. You are not the red around the baloney. You are all that. I love you. I'm praying for you, and I'm excited about your future, baby. I'm excited about what God's going to do. Make sure that you subscribe to this channel, wherever you're watching this from. Share this with somebody. Watch it again. Go back and listen to the notes that I gave you. And hey, let's walk into 2024 excited about what God is doing in our lives, because he never ends in a deficit. Go to realtalkkim.com. Be a part of my world. Go to rtkstyle.com. Buy my fashion. I got some cute clothes up in there. And go get my brand new book, You Gotta Get Up, today. And also, if you're ever in Atlanta, come join us at Limitless Church, 1653 Highway 85 South, Fayetteville, Georgia, 30215. Every Sunday, 10 and 11:30. We're across from Whitewater High School. That's your mile marker. And get in my RTK Inner Circle. Start this new year right. Go to innercircle.realtalkkim.com and become a part of my community today. I love you, and I will see you next week. Hug yourself. Hug yourself right now from me to you. Talk to you next week.
Yay Networks.